Last week, we needed to deviate from the schedule and spend some time focusing on an individual. For those of you that were here, you know what I'm talking about. We just stopped where we were and went completely that direction. We should probably review a little about what we started last week before we continue that discussion. We were reading John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. We started breaking up this into 3 different sections. Each section has a full sentence of its own. In the first sentence, we saw that Jesus possessed a peace that he was giving to the disciples. It is likely, at least to me, that this offer of peace excited some of the disciples because of the Prince of Peace promise in Isaiah 9, 6, and 7. Y'all thought about that? That what they must have heard when he started talking about my peace I leave you, and whether or not they linked it to some of these ideas that they had had before about who the Messiah was and what he was coming to do and what he was bringing with him. Anyway, I can imagine that at least some of them got excited when he started talking like that because, okay, yeah, that's what we've been waiting on all this time. Come on, we're ready. Let's go, Jesus. Go ahead and tell us what it is you want us to know from this, and let's go. We're behind you. We're with you. The peace that Jesus was offering was different than the world's idea or definition of peace. Jesus offered wholeness, nothing missing from the inside, working its way to the outside for every situation. There are 2 meanings for the second sentence. Jesus does not give gifts like the world gives gifts. Let's talk about that briefly. What comes to mind when you mention the phrase or have the idea that the world gave you a gift? Somebody operating in the world system gave you a gift. What's your first thought in that situation? About the person, okay? To thank the person instead of the Lord, okay? That's one way to look at it. What else comes to mind when somebody that you know is not, I don't want to call them legitimate, but is not really doing? Yeah, what's this going to cost me? Where's the string? What's your angle? Why are you doing this? It's not just, I can't receive the gift. I can't just really thank you for it because I'm waiting on you to reveal to me, and I'm hoping that you do it now rather than later, what this is going to cost me. What I'm getting myself tied up into by accepting, by receiving this gift that you're offering. Okay, does Jesus do it that way? He does not. So I give you peace and I don't give it the way that the world gives. What's he saying there? One of the things that he's saying is there's no strings attached. I don't have a motive behind this other than seeing you blessed, other than seeing you healed, other than seeing you freer, other than seeing you delivered. There's no agenda here. I'm not motivating. I'm not manipulating. I'm not trying to do something other than just be good to you. And that's kind of a difficult concept for us to grasp sometimes. Sometimes we struggle with that because we've been burned so many times by these other type of gifts. And then how are his gifts different? There's no strings. There's nothing that you do to earn them, keep them. There's nothing you do to, you have to receive them, but there's nothing that you bring to the table when he offers you a gift. The only thing that you can offer in exchange is a willingness to receive it and a willingness to operate in it. Let's continue our study today with part 2 of an expectedly unexpected gift. Say that 10 times fast. An expectedly unexpected gift, part 2. All right, still in John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. Notice we're on the second sentence now. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Do not be afraid. We've talked about he doesn't give gifts in the same way that the world gives gifts. So let's talk about the other meaning from this little phrase. I call this partial B. It's the second part of the verse, and I'm just quoting the part of interest while we have this discussion. I give you peace in a different way than the world does. I don't give you the kind of peace that the world gives. I give you my own peace, and my gift is nothing like the peace of this world. So if before he was saying, I don't give in the same way that the world was giving, what's he saying now in some of these renderings? Not only is the way that I give different, the gift itself is different than what the world can offer. So there's two different facets. There's no string, so I'm giving it in a different way, but my gift is different than what the world calls, quote unquote, peace. Okay. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. Now think about that for a minute. Can the world give Jesus' peace? Do they have it? Why do they think they can give it if they don't even possess it? It's not even available to them. They can't give it. So what do they call peace? What is their concept of peace? Absence of conflict. Okay, that's a worldly things. Okay. Okay. I can be at peace once I get to $1 million. Once I get to be the CEO or whatever of the company, that'll give me peace. And once I marry that person over there, regardless of how much damage I've got to cause to get from here to there, when I marry that person, it'll all be good. I'll be at peace at that point. What else? Okay.
So when they had a word, it could mean multiple things.
Right.
And what you say shalom, it's like you peace, you greet someone and everything. But what that I had to go through several commentaries to finally figure out that what peace meant to the Hebrews was something more than lack of conflict and all that. It meant that they were whole.
Nothing missing, nothing broken. Wholeness. Yes.
Whole. You grasp the concepts of goodness, love, mercy, and all the things, helpfulness, the things that Jesus taught. And when you're whole, no one, it forms, it's like a circle.
Right.
And then penetrate that.
Right.
So circles.
That's cool.
And so that's what I really had to dig. What does peace mean? And then when I read that, it just kind of like that makes a lot of sense.
So that's kind of a nice thing to do when you're reading the Bible. When you see the word peace, stop for a moment and think, okay, what all is he saying here? What all is he including here? When he's giving me peace, he's trying to define peace. He's trying to say peace is something you should experience. The verse I think of, righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Ghost. What is that? The kingdom of God is righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Ghost. What does that mean? What does all that include? It's a pretty big word. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff included there. It's the precursor to our word salvation. It's the precursor to our word saved, sozo, soteria, if you want to do that study. And you'll see all those concepts still contained within the Old Testament version of peace. Nothing missing, nothing broken, wholeness, soundness, completeness. Yeah. People of the world also say, peace to you. I do not say it as they say it. Have you ever thought about people of the world trying to say peace to you? Agree. Okay. Hello to you. Goodbye to you. Whatever. They use it both times in some of those contexts, coming and going. What else can they mean when they say peace to you? And even better question, what can't they mean when they say peace to you? There's a difference between Jesus's concept and his offering of peace and what we should be, by consequence, offering to each other and offering to those around us versus what the world offers as peace. Greeting and okay, that's good. I like that.
Peace is what makes us
Staying in peace. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But we can get to peace for a moment in certain circles, but then we depart from it really quickly. It's not in my notes, but something to think about. If you read through the New Testament, there are a lot of verses that talk about You got to fight the fight of faith. You got to resist. You've got to fight. You got to exert effort. And then there are other verses that talk about enter into rest. Labor to enter into rest. Are we fighting or are we entering the rest? Which are we supposed to be doing? The answer is both. Our goal is rest. Our goal is to get to that place of divine supernatural rest and then stay there. But it's so difficult for us to, first of all, get to that place. We got to go through all this junk. We got to fight our way into that rest. And then once we get there, it's very short-lived most of the time because there's too many distractions. There's too many other things going on around it that are trying to pull us out of that place of rest. So we have to fight to get to rest, and then we have to fight to stay in rest or in peace. Does that make sense? It really helped me when I understood that we're doing both, that it's not an either or thing. It's the target, and you're doing both. You're fighting to get to the rest. The goal is the rest. The goal is the peace. But you're going to have to fight to get there. And then once you get there, you're going to have to fight to stay there.
I mean, I experienced the physical aspects of that. I fought in a season of a lot of things, but then I was given about 3 months of just peace. And then here I'm starting a new season. And here I am going to be battling for peace again. And so
Kind of like playing King of the Mountain, you know?
Yes. Yeah. That's a great example. That's a great. How did you get to be king of the mountain? You had to fight through somebody to get up there. And then what are their job now that you are the king of the mountain? To take you out, to dethrone you.
So as you reach a certain level, then God gives you more and he expects more, you know, that's.
well, I understand what, I have a good idea of what the kind of peace the world thinks it can offer. Okay, I've tried to achieve that kind of peace.
And how'd that work?
God offered. I had more consequences through that, negative consequences, to trying to seek worldly peace than I have trying to achieve godly peace. And it's interesting because the only way to do it is that you have to be close to God. I just read this morning that God holds our right hand. He reaches down and holds our right hand. I love that. And that brings me peace.
Yes.
I can't of my own power control him. But God, like, you know, like the father holding a child's hand, it's like, I got you. That brings me peace. Now, do I take that back? No. You know, then I have to remember he's got my right hand.
Yeah.
You know, and it's back and forth, but I have those moments of like, oh boy, here we go, anxious anxiety, then all of a sudden, oh yeah, he's got my hand. Oh, but you know.
Now let's talk through that just a second. He's got my right hand, that gives me peace. Does the knowledge of that idea give you peace? Or does the attainment, the realization, the embodiment of that, is that the thing that gives you the peace?
The embodiment, because he's faithful to his, you gotta trust him, and you gotta, it's kind of the knowledge of, you gotta know, you have to know, but then you have
to know before you can pursue.
Right.
If you don't know, you're not going to go after it. But it's not the knowledge that is the thing that helps you. It's the attainment of what you know to be true. Peace versus, worlds, yeah.
Learn life lessons.
Right.
And so that's kind of how life is, you go through and you go down here. It's in the valley to grow. And all of our skills are tested, you have to trust God.
That's what he was talking about, it's like, you know, for me, peace was just absent of conflict. but the closest I was to God ever in my
BC days.
was in the midst of a terrible season. There was so much fear, doubt, uncertainty, yet I fervently pursued God. And God was faithful to his word, and I was miraculously blessed. And I pray that, again, fervently, that please let me retain what I learned in that season, because I am starting a new season. And, I wish I could tell you I passed that previous test with an A+. I didn't.
But you pass.
I passed.
That's
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying, though, there was times I passed reluctantly. Does that sound?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Makes
but you still passed.
Yeah, it was an amazing time of connecting the dots. So, battle, peace. Okay, we're getting ready to ramp up here again. I guess I can choose the intensity of the battle. I don't know. I mean, how much am I gonna let this intimidate me? Until like, oh yeah, I can't control this. I'm working for him.
Yes. The valleys, the ups and the downs and all that stuff. We're going to experience that. There's no way around that. I mean, you're not just going to have heaven on earth every day, but our difference should be our attitude when we're going through that.
Absolutely.
One of the things I like to talk about is the definition of patience. God give me patience. And we're always viewing patience as the ability to last through this. And that's part of it. But it's how are you lasting through this?
That God will give you a lot of things.
He does to improve your patience. Yes, it's a dangerous prayer. But we confuse patience and long suffering. Patience is not long suffering. Long suffering is the ability to go through a long duration of thing. Patience is consistent constancy. So while I'm going through it, I'm not like this. I am constant. It doesn't matter what's going on the outside. I stay even keeled. I stay very level, very predictable in my emotions and my reactions. That's patience having its perfect work. That's peace ruling. That's fighting from the position of peace or position of rest and staying there rather than being motivated, being swayed, being manipulated by the stuff going on around us.
Steady, patience. What's the core underneath that gives you that?
I'm sure it's the peace.
It's
Joy. Okay. Okay. All right. Going. Okay. Yeah. Okay, this last translation here. Not the kind of fragile peace given by the world, but my perfect peace. Now, when we're talking about the world offering its version of peace, does it last? How long was the best occurrence of that peace? Hour, day, week, month? I'm not going to try and put a time scale on it, but it does not last. It's very, very temporal. Is that peace real? Or is it a lie in itself? It may be a lesser state of anxiety than something else that you were dealing with, but it's still not actual peace. It's all relative terms. Homework number 1. Jesus gave gifts that were different from the world's version of that gift, and also gave the gift in a different way than the world gives gifts. As Jesus followers, should this change the nature of the gifts we give and the way in which we give them? Do we need to make some adjustments in this area? Now, one of the things, and I'm just going to kind of say this, and then I'll let you guys do your homework. We can talk about it briefly, but primarily I want you to think through this. Have you ever seen somebody, and I'm going to use church as an example, who decides, okay, the church needs whatever. I'm going to give them some money to take care of this issue. And then get off if the money doesn't go to where they appropriated it. Or better yet, a better example, They give money in general without it being named for a specific thing, and then get upset about how the church spends that money. My question is, did you really give it or not? If you really gave it, do you have any control over what happens to it next? You do not. But some people think they do. And my statement to you is, you're giving as the world gives. There's a string, there's an attachment, there's an angle here that you're trying to claim access to. And we need to adjust our thinking about, did I really give it or not really give it? And if I did really give it, it's not mine. I don't have any control or any authority over it anymore. Now, I'm not saying it's right for them to take money that was specifically targeted for something and go a different direction unless they explain that scenario. That's a different thing than you trying to be in charge of whatever you gave or whatever you did. You give somebody a car and they promptly go out and get into a drunk driving accident. What'd you do that with the car I gave you? Did you really give it? If you did, you have no string. You have no hold on this. If you didn't really give it, then that's a different problem than what you're talking about. And we really need to make some adjustments in our concept of giving and what that actually means. Are we really giving it? Or are we doing it just like the world and we're trying to manipulate whether we realize it or not? Go ahead.
So, if you're in a Christian-based homeless ministry and you give a homeless person money, which highly likely that it's just gonna go from drugs to alcohol. But can you give that money with that knowledge, knowing though that might be the $5, $10, $20 that actually feeds, they actually buy something there, staying there? Will that be the money that you gave them that really opens up their
Right.
spirit to see that here's a person who says he or she is a Christian, gave me $20 in the faith that they're gonna use it for something besides furthering their education? That's kind of a tough one. Because 9 times out of 10, when you see it, they're high or low.
Right.
You know, I reluctant. There are times I would not, I very rarely give money.
And that might be wisdom. I mean,
That might be, but I have had discernment that I have, I just, you know, I'll just say that I tend to give it to women more than I do men. Maybe that's just something the way I'm made up. I feel a little more compassion towards women out there in that condition. But I give it in the faith that, you know, I pray that you don't use it for drugs or alcohol.
but you're still past the test in the fact that you're not controlling it. You're not going to monitor them, follow them, or whatever when they spend the money.
Money from them.
Right.
On the concept that, oh, well, they're just gonna use it on drugs or alcohol.
Well, this is saying your hearts and do not be afraid that your mind, so this gift appeals to your heart and your mind. When you give something, you should appeal to their heart or their mind and follow what Jesus says to do. That little extra, that, care about you, ask them something where they know they're seen.
Right. And I'm not asking how do you go about doing this in such a way. What I'm asking is, are there times when, even though we may not intend to do so, we're giving just like the world gives, because we give, and I'm putting that in quote marks, we give, and then we still think we have some control over that situation. Well, I gave you that, so you have to listen to me now. You didn't really give it.
Whenever the church does a State of the Union address, they talk. I'm kind of mixed on that. I love that they bless, that's wonderful, it's a blessing. But I'm also like, whenever they don't care. Yeah. That's like, I get the faith, it's not my money.
Right.
I know, I get it, that's why I have a mixed feeling about it. I do love seeing that we bought air conditioning for a church in Africa, or we got a pastor of a small church, a car. I love hearing testimonies like that, but ultimately, I just don't care. It's God's money.
Not trying to hide what they're giving.
No, I get all that.
So you can trust us.
Right. It's transparency.
Yeah, I get that,
and-
I love it, but it's also like, okay, it's not my money. I don't care what the church does with it.
And see, that right there is what I'm talking about here. Once I give it, once I say, okay, it is yours, my hands are off. If I'm doing this right. If I still try to put my hands back on it and whatever it is, I didn't really give it. He wants a return on that investment. He's a good Jew. He wants a good return on that investment. But he's not going to take it away if you don't do what he thinks you ought to do with it. He's going to motivate you to try and do that. He's going to say, okay, this is the reason for that. And he will have some conversations with you if you're not doing it right. But if you ultimately decide, I'm fully with you, I'm going to take your gift and I'm going to do whatever I want to with it. Think about these people that are talented, like singers. You know that what they have in them is a God-given gift. And God would really enjoy them to use it for something that advanced his kingdom. Does he fix it so that they can't sing anymore or can't play an instrument anymore when they decide to go a different direction? Does he take that away from them? He does not. He prefers that they do it right, that they do what they need to with it. And they'll be judged one day on the difference between what God gave them and what he wanted them to do with it versus what they actually accomplished. But does he take the gift away if they go the opposite direction? He does not. He once he gives it, he gives it. And then he says, okay, if you want to maximize this, I've got some ideas for you. I've got some direction for you. I've got some wisdom for you to maximize the thing that I already gave you. But I gave it to you. Until you come to me and ask me for how to manage this, how to direct this, my hands are off. That's your gift. Does that make sense? Okay, here's the last part of the verse. 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. So we're talking about that last sentence. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Here's some other versions. Do not let your heart be troubled, nor let it be afraid. Let my perfect peace calm you in every circumstance and give you courage and strength for every challenge. So the reason that you are able to not let your heart be troubled and to not let your heart be afraid is because God's perfect peace is already inside you, calming you in every situation, giving you courage and strength for every challenge. I love that verse. That's a very good rendering of that. That's wow. Do not let your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Stop allowing yourselves to be agitated and disturbed, and do not permit yourselves to be fearful and intimidated and cowardly and unsettled. Okay, now both of these, all this stuff that's supposed to happen once you get that peace inside of you and it becomes real, who does it? Stop allowing yourselves to be agitated and disturbed. Who's doing that? You're doing that. You have a choice to make in this thing. You're supposed to be making it because you're full of peace. And so often we're not full of peace, so we're not making this choice. We're allowing all this junk from the outside to dictate to us how we're supposed to feel in the course of a day, how we're supposed to respond in the course of a day. Do not let yourselves be upset or frightened. Who is in charge of doing this? We are. Do not let yourselves be sad. Do not be afraid. Don't be troubled or cowardly. You must not be distressed, and you must not be daunted. So don't be upset. Don't be distraught. Don't let anything trouble your hearts. Do not fear. Don't yield to fear or be troubled in your hearts. Instead, be courageous. Who is in charge of all of that? We are. Is God going to do it for you? Are you just going to get zapped one day and then suddenly you're not afraid anymore? It'd be great. Put me in that line. That's not usually how it works. How did Jesus set this up to work? I'm giving you peace, and I want you to realize peace. I want you to partake of my peace. And then with that peace, with your heart, with your insides full of my peace that only I can give you, then you are able, you are equipped, you are strengthened to not let yourself be troubled, not let yourself be fearful, not let yourself be afraid or anxious or distraught or distressed or whatever. Go ahead.
And you don't know that it's available until you have to repeat this process. I'm speaking for myself. I've had to repeat this process over and over and over until I just finally realized. Until it's, he did a study about your subconscious, and we do things subconsciously, like driving a car. We don't have to think about, oh, I got to press the gas. We just know how to drive a car, And it's the same thing like if we experience and put it in our subconscious that this is the system that I start to receive peace in these circumstances. Until it's just kind of embedded in your subconscious, you're still going to repeat those same struggles, those same patterns. I'm just speaking for myself again. It's like, I've been in this position I'm in right now today about going to work tomorrow. And I'm, again, looking ahead, which is dangerous. I'm not staying in today. I'm looking at what I've experienced in the past where I failed and let that have an effect on my peace. I pray I sleep tonight. I pray my mind isn't just a hamster wheel of expectations of tomorrow. Will I sleep tonight? I pray that I do. I can't say I will or not.
I think you're going to make a choice, and you will sleep tonight. I think you're
I-
going to do.
I'm very comforted reading that God has my right hand. I was comforted knowing that sometimes it's in the midst of these seasons of battle that I'm closest to God. Now, I don't want to be in conflict, but if that's what it means, that I am closest to God,
Right.
then so be it.
Right.
I'd rather have that than turn a blind eye to it and try to attain peace through the world, which I tried before.
I want us to also see that Jesus gives us peace for a purpose.
It's not what else.
Well, it is to a certain extent. I mean, but
Also shows
there's a reason that he's giving you the peace. He knows what's coming next. You're not out of the danger zone. You're not out of a military conflict. You're not just poof, I'm in my little spiritual bubble and nothing can ever harm me. We're not in heaven yet. It doesn't work that way. He's preparing you for the fight, for the next thing that comes your direction, and giving you weapons, giving you ammunition, giving you a strategy. Here's the plan. Get yourself full of my peace, and then, and only then, you will be able to make sure that you do not yield to trouble. You do not yield to fear. You do not yield to anxiety. And it's only by doing the peace part first that the other is even an option. And this is where his peace is different than the world's peace. Can the world's peace do this? Can you rely on the world's peace and make a decision? I am not going to be afraid. Well, it's because you're like, it's a high or something at that moment that you're out of your mind.
and all it does.
But as soon as that wears off, you're afraid again.
I mean, it's not, it's a horrible trap, and who's in charge of the world anyway?
If I'm in a bad deal like that, and I'm concerned about it, I've learned to just say, show me the wonder of all this.
Yeah. Show me what you're doing. Yeah.
I will tell you, you know what I do, like, if that anxiety gets so bad, and I don't I'm not an anxious person. I'm pretty calm. But certain things raise my anxiety. When I'm at that level, you know what I do? When I go in the next day, it's almost like, okay, God, here we go. I'm gonna shut my eyes, not physically, but I'm just gonna shut my eyes and I'm just gonna put my head down and I'm gonna go. I trust you. Whatever happens, happens. But I don't sit there. I just kind of shut my mind down, shut my blinders on, and I just go. And the next thing I know, I'm driving home from work going, okay, amazing, you know? And is that a good way of doing it? I don't know, but I know that I acknowledge that I can't do anything of my own, that God has this, regardless of how great it is or how bad. You know, it's just like, and that's it. I'm on my way home and I'm like, okay, well, just go home and rest and start over again tomorrow. Just interesting, that's just how I do things. I would love to have, but I have had that, what we're talking about.
And you're operating in it more and more than you realize.
Yes.
It's so easy for us to like start nitpicking ourselves and go, well, I didn't do that exactly. It's the concept that we're going for here that, okay, I'm not still, I don't hit my free throws all the time, but I know what I need to do to hit the free throw the next time right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe, I always think about smiles.
Oh, yeah.
You might not have done it the way it thought you should,
Yeah.
but.
Does he have it by my right hand? I'm just being dragged along.
Okay. For whom is this peace that Jesus gave really useful? Who gets to participate in this peace? Here's an answer to that question. Isaiah 26:3. You will keep in perfect peace and constant peace the one whose mind is steadfast, that is committed and focused on you, both in inclination and character, because he trusts and takes refuge in you with hope and confident expectation. This is one of my favorite verses in the Bible. Found it a long time ago and use it frequently. God's responsibility is to keep you in perfect peace, so long as you keep your mind focused, stayed, fixed on him and what he's doing. And we so often mess this up because we were looking at the Lord and thinking about good things and thinking about the right stuff and how he's got me and he's got me by my right hand and all this other stuff. And then wham, something comes and it's like, whoa, where'd that come from? Now I'm not looking there. Now I'm looking over here. Am I focused at that moment? I am, but not on the right thing. My focus has shifted to something else. So now can he keep me in perfect peace when my focus is over on something else? He can't do it. So I've got to realize, okay, whoa, time out here. Let's readjust. That is not going to help me. This is where I need to be. So I'm going to intentionally move my focus back to this. And now, once again, he can keep me in perfect peace.
God reveals himself, he lets you know he's there.
Correct. Yes. But the tactic of the enemy then is, okay, if God is going to keep me in perfect peace, and that means I'm going to keep myself from being troubled or anxious or fearful or any of those other things. If I'm able to do that because there's perfect peace operating on the inside of me, what's the enemy's tactic? The only thing that he can do about this situation is to bring so many distractions that I'm not looking here and I'm looking over this way. And eventually his theory is one of them will stick and I'll get them to pull away long enough that I can now get them to fear. I can now get them to say something that's going to negate or contradict or get in the way of all the other things that God's doing. I'm going to get them in strife. I'm going to get them in unforgiveness. I'm going to get them in bitterness. I'm going to get them in one of these other things where I have some legal right to pull some strings. So for whom is this peace available? It's for this guy. The one that is committed, focused to both an inclination and character, the one who has his mind is steadfast. He trusts and takes refuge in you with hope and confident expectation. That's the person that Jesus wants this peace to go to. And that's the person that this peace will stay with. Am I that person? Are you that person? And the answer are no, I'm never that person. I'm always that person, or it's somewhere in the middle, depending upon what the day is. And I suggest to you that we're probably mostly in that third category. And we need to make the decision, okay, I'm going to start shifting more and more and more of my time, more and more of my thoughts, more and more of my energy to being that person that is always focused in the right direction. Does that make sense? If I'm not that person right now, then what do I need to change to be that person? What do I need to adjust? What do I need to do differently to be that person? So that that peace can always rule in my heart. So that that peace can always be the dominating force, regardless of what I'm facing, regardless of what I'm dealing with. Homework number 2. Jesus gave us peace before telling us not to be troubled or fearful. Is the order important? Can we be successfully do the instruction without first receiving the gift? I don't think you can, but I want you to think through this process. When have we tried to keep ourselves from being fearful without first receiving the peace or operating in the peace? Oh, I can do this. I don't need that. I'm in a hurry today. I don't have time for that. And we get stressed, we get frantic, we get all sorts of things because we skipped the step that would put the peace at the forefront. Can we successfully do the instruction without first receiving the gift? Have you ever gotten yourself into a mess by trying to skip the step of receiving peace? And if so, what did that look like? How did you realize that's what you had done? What happened? What changes did you make? We've all probably been there, and I just want us to think through the process. When I found myself in this mess, where did I skip the peace part of this? Where did I get things out of order? And fixing it is probably just as simple as I've got to keep this in the right order, then I'm prepared to deal with the distractions when they come.
So, for, for a little, work, my routine was to get up before my knees, say my prayer. Fine. Take off 10 months, work was called, things changed, learn. And the biggest one is that I truly love being able to get up, make a pot of coffee, have my phone in the pocket, drink coffee, and read as much or as little as Bible at my leisure. And it's just set the tone for the day. It was just a wonderful time. Now, maybe through this season when work is not work, I loved that time with God so much. It's like, okay, now I need to get up a little earlier.
Right.
So I can sit there and have that cup of coffee, which is good. I don't need a whole pot, one cup. And
Get a Keurig rather than a.
yeah, but that helps set the tone for the day. You know, we always know, keep the first things first. God tells you that. And that's the difference between previous times to now. That's the thing that has changed that.
That's cool.
Yeah, extremely. And, you know, it sets the tone.
Yeah.
I can kind of, instead of waking up going, okay, God, I pray for my family, and, you know, let's pray for Israel and the United States Church, or the rush through this, you know, offer up a bunch of word salad. I sit there. Huh?
Not that I never heard that word salad.
Word salad, yeah, and, but I sit there and I read, you know, a devotional in His Word, and I'm just like, okay, now, I read your word, and this is what it says, let's get after it, you know? And
Nice.
That's the shift, that's the change.
Right.
Because now I'm like, you really can't just, I mean, you can, but, I mean, for me, I learned, I can't just start the day.
Right.
One thing I've learned, to cope is, the world always demands an instant commitment from you if they want something, they want it right in. And I've learned to say, I want, you know, a lot of them are not Christian, I just say, I'm a late thinker, I have to think about this for 24 hours before I can get a decision on that. And then let God lead me where I am, and then I always make a wise decision then, where I got myself in a lot of messes when I give in to that.
Right.
urgency.
Right.
So.
There's another friend that I've been talking to, and one of the things that I've been telling him recently is Jesus never responded to pressure. If you look at his ministry, he did not yield to pressure. He did not bow to pressure. He did not respond to pressure. Everything was on his terms. He dictated to every situation when he would respond, how he would respond, if he would respond. He was always in charge. The pressure never forced him into anything. And that's something that we really need to learn. We really need to become more aware of that. Okay, if there's pressure coming in this, and I'm not talking about the Holy Spirit nudging you to do something. I'm not talking about that being pressure. I'm talking about pressure from the outside, the situation, the people involved wanting you to do something. It's different when the Holy Spirit's nudging you to do something. That is a pressure, but that's not what I'm talking about here. And you guys know the difference of what I'm saying. But Jesus never responded to pressure from the outside. Never. I mean, think back to the lady caught in adultery. They were pressuring him for an answer. And the scripture went on to say, they pressured him more and more. I mean, they emphasized it multiple times that they wanted an answer. What say you? Come on, make up your mind. Because in that situation, I believe he didn't know the answer until he knelt down and, okay, Holy Ghost, how do you want to handle this? Because I don't know. In my head, I could make a determination. I'm not sure that that's the right determination here. So what do you say about this? And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to endure their persecution. I'm going to endure their verbal assaults. I'm going to endure their pressure until you give me the answer. And I can just see when he finally understands what happens next. He's writing on the ground and a big smile just comes on his face. Okay, I got it now. And then he handles it and it's beautiful. The answer is just the way he responds to that is a beautiful thing, but he did not yield to the pressure that they were exerting. And you see that over and over and over again if you look for it in his ministry. We shouldn't yield to pressure either. Just like what you were saying, we shouldn't be motivated and forced from the outside to do things before we're ready to do them, before we think we should do them, before we've confirmed this is a good idea, this is a bad idea. How do I approach this? Okay, verse 28, John 14:28. You heard me tell you, I'm going away and I'm coming back to you. If you really loved me, you would have been glad because I'm going to the Father, for the Father is greater and mightier than I am. If you really love me, you will be very happy for me, for now I can go to the Father who is greater than I am. If you loved me, you would be glad that I am on my way to the Father because the Father is the goal and the purpose of my life. If you love me, celebrate the fact that I'm going to be with the Father because he is far greater than I am. If you were loving me, you would in that case already have rejoiced that I am proceeding to the Father, for the Father is greater than I am. Now, I've been thinking about this verse for about 2 weeks now, since I started writing this down and thinking about this. It's like, that verse just hits me wrong. It just hits me, and I'm like, I'm not saying I disagree with it, but it just, that messes with me. Why should the disciples, what he's saying here is, you, my disciples, should be happy if you really love me, because I'm about to go to my Father who's greater than I am. Really? Why is that? Why should I be happy that you're going away? Now, he's not even talking here about, if I go away, I'll send the Holy Spirit in my place. And the reason that you should be happy is because the Holy Spirit is a much more apt person to help you in what you're going to be facing than what I am currently able to offer you. So you're getting an upgrade here. This is not saying that. This is saying you should be happy because I'm about to go to the Father who is greater than I am. You want the very best of them, okay?
Some of what speaks to me is selfishness.
Okay.
You know, just- I mean, if you're self-centered, you don't want that person. You're thinking of yourself that this is gonna be painful. Or, this person means so much to me, I'm learning or whatever. And really, you're thinking of yourself. And, that causes for a deeper thinking or deeper love that, when someone tells you that it's better for me to go, you gotta be able to oh, okay.
Right.
That's, when you're only thinking of yourself and what they give you, probably should see it any good.
I think of it like as you have a father or a child. As a mother, you want to hear because
Right.
But as a Christian, you know she's going to a better place.
Right.
You're gonna see her again. So it almost brings you joy. And, I mean, it's gonna be sad in the moment, but you know it's a good thing. So you can have peace and you have to.
I mean, God's in charge of that.
Through the transition of. Well, I'll see you later.
As I've been thinking about this, I keep coming back to the same conclusion, and this is just my journey through this verse. You can agree, you can disagree, whatever. But the thing I keep hearing is I have this image that Jesus was so enthralled with us that he jumped at the chance to come to earth to save us. And what I am seeing is I was making his love for us the primary motivation for him doing what he did. And this is telling me that his primary motivation was because he loved the Father. And the Father loved us to that extent. So it's messing with my head that he didn't love us. I'm not saying he didn't love us. I'm saying his motivation was his love for the Father and not for his love for us.
Father gave him the opportunity.
Yes. Yes. And he still did it. I mean, he still, and then you can add to that John 15:13. There's no greater way to love than to give your life for your friends. I'm still working through what all this means, at least to me. What do I need to adjust? What do I need to change if we weren't the primary focus and the Father was? So my homework for this, for y'all, is do you get a different take on the verse than I did? And the second part of that question, are there verses that support the idea that Jesus primarily loved the Father? Does that change anything to you? Here we Oh, you're welcome. And I don't want anybody to feel bad as a result of this, because like I said, I'm still thinking through that. Was it just pride on my part that said he loved us as the primary reason? Or what? I know the Lord's wanting to say something to me anyway in this passage, and he may not be speaking to you guys as much as he is to me, but there's something about this that I still haven't got my hands all the way around. Anyway.
Cherish his son. And came down to earth with all of our problems and all of the things that go haywire, with us. And he had an understanding, and it deepened him to put the wisdom of the Father.
Right.
Send him down here.
Right.
That deeper understanding, make him a better even though maybe he didn't want to be here, maybe. So,
And I'm not even saying that he didn't want to be here. What I'm saying is this is striking me as him coming here wasn't primarily about us in his mind. It was about pleasing the Father to him. Now, the Father had us in his mind. He wanted us. And I'm not saying there's a difference or a disconnection between the Father and the Son. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying this has just really struck me, and it's something that I know I'm going to have to work on. And if you guys want to, if you get something else that I'm missing about it, I would love to hear it. But I started.
he had learned service
Right.
here. And he had.
And later it says he learned service through the things he suffered.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know where this is going, but I want y'all to think through it. I had thought of several verses that support my idea that Jesus was primarily motivated by his love for the Father instead of his love for us. I'm not saying at all that he did not love us. He did. But his primary motivation was pleasing the Father. I've thought of several verses that support that idea. I want you guys to dig around. What does this speak to you, or does it speak to you? If this is just for me, that's great too, but I'm still working on this. So anyway, moving right along. Verse 29. And now I have told you this before it occurs, so that when it does take place, you may believe and have faith in and rely on me. Your faith in me will not be shaken. The confirmation will deepen your belief in me. You will still trust and cling to me. So what's he saying here? I'm telling you this before it happens, so that the confirmation will deepen your belief in me. You will still trust and cling to me, even though for a brief period of time, it's not looking like it's turning out right. I'm telling you this in advance so that you know that I know what's going on and can address ahead of time. Jesus established a pattern with the disciples. He told them what would happen before it happened, so that when it happened, they would believe. Jesus has changed if he won't do that with us too. I'll say that again. Jesus has changed if he won't do that with us too. If he won't do what with us? Tell us ahead of time what's happening, so that when it happens, in whatever way that it happens and how long it ever happens, we will believe him after the fact. We can trust in him while we're going through it, but we'll believe in him after the fact, because that's exactly the way that he told us. When you find yourself going through something, give him time to tell you what is coming. Once you know how it will turn out from what he said, do not say or do anything that disagrees with what he told you. Don't give in, back up, retreat, or quit. Most of the time, these are the only things that can prevent what he said from happening. The word he speaks becomes a promise to declare, the hope blueprint for faith, and a powerful weapon in your fight against the enemy. So what is he saying here to them? I told you all this stuff before it happens, so that you know what's going on, and while it's happening, you don't go nuts. You don't go crazy. You don't go wild. And then after I'm done, after you see all this manifest, you will really believe that I know what I'm doing, that I know what's happening, that I'm in control, that I'm aware, however you want to say that. Is it helpful when you're going through a situation to get God's word about that situation near the beginning? Can you anchor yourself to something then that he said as you're going? I know you're shaking your, I know you've been through a situation recently where that was the case. This is the pattern. This is the way he wants to do it. Okay, God, I see this coming on the horizon. What are you doing? Let him speak. Let him say, okay, here's what's going to happen. Now, our problem is we try to fill in all the details. He says this is going to be the result. And we go, okay, for me to get from here to there, then it's got to go this, and this way. Never goes this, and this way. But we still end up where he said we're going to end up, if we don't abort the process. So the danger here is I'm going to try to now figure out the details of what he said and how to make it come to pass so that I can help him. He doesn't need your help. He doesn't want your help in that way. He wants your participation with him leading the way, with him steering the car, with him driving the boat, however you want to say it. He wants you to join him for the ride, but he's still in charge. We don't get to dictate where we turn, where we don't turn, how fast we go. We don't get to control any of that. And you're going to get frustrated the moment you start trying to control it.
Don't get behind him either, you know?
But he can catch you up a lot easier. It's a lot less painful to catch you up than it is and to fix whatever you might have messed up when you're in front of him.
One little change and you really not continue to participate.
Correct. Right. Right. Yes. Yes. Well, God, you need my help on that first part. Well, he didn't really, but he did. He wants us to participate. But that doesn't mean he needs your help on the next part or the next phase or the next step. It doesn't mean you need your help any rest of the process unless he's told you to do something else. It is. It is. I agree. But you can look at this as a promise. Okay, Jesus, you set up the pattern when you told the disciples before it happened what was going to happen. Unless you have changed, which you are not, you are the same yesterday, today, and forever. The pattern still holds true. When I find myself about to face something, I can rely on you. I can expect you to tell me what's coming next. So I will have that as an anchor while I'm going through this deal. As a promise, as an expectation, as a declaration while I'm still going through this. So I found this very comforting that I can expect him because of what he did in the past, and he is the same yesterday, today, and forever, to also tell me in advance what the end of this is going to be. Now, the issue is me trying to figure out how to get to that end without him directing the ship, without him driving the car. And he wants to drive the car. You're going to make a mess if you try to drive the car. You're going to get into a wreck, and your insurance rates are going to go up, and it's just not going to be good. But do you see the promise? The pattern that he set up creates a promise that he will tell us what's coming next for the same intent that once it's done, or even while you're in it, you'll believe what I'm telling you. You'll know that I am who I say that I am, that I'm with you, that I want the best out of the situation, that I'm watching, that I'm aware. However you want to say this, he's there with you, and he's going to take you to a desired, defined outcome. All right, verse 30. I will not say much more to you, for the prince of this world is coming. He has no hold over me. This one also has two parts that we're going to consider separately. The first part. I will not speak much more. I will not speak with you much longer, for the ruler of this world, Satan, is coming. Now notice the titles that he uses for the devil here. The ruler of this world. So was Satan the legitimate ruler of the world? Yes, he was. Is Jesus debating that? Is he contradicting that? Is he saying, no, that's not true? No, he is agreeing that Satan was the legal recognized ruler of the world at the point at which he's talking here. For the prince, the evil genius, ruler of the world, is coming. For the spirit that rules this world is coming very close. Because the chief of this godless world is about to attack. I'm almost finished speaking to you. The one who rules the world is stepping forward. For the ruler of the dark world is coming. There's a note, this Passion translation, the last one here, TPT. There's a note in the text on that says about the ruler of this dark world. The phrase is implied in the text in the word devil, which means slanderer or accuser. So the word devil has within it the definition slanderer or accuser. And then ruler of the dark world, in this case, is not calling him out as the devil, but that phrase also has implied in it slanderer, or accuser. So one of Satan's primary roles is the accuser of the brethren, right? How many times do we help him do his job? Yes. Whenever we start running our mouth and accusing people of things, we are on his team, not on God's team. I'm just going to leave that right there. I'm not going to go any more with that, but that's something that we need to pay attention to. When I'm opening my mouth, whose team am I representing? Am I helping the devil do his job of accusing, of slandering, or am I helping Jesus bring a solution and move in the opposite spirit to the ruler of this current age? Moving right along. Here's the second part of that verse. Because the ruler, the prince of this world is coming, I will not say much more to you, for the prince of this world is coming. He has no hold over me. He has no hold over me. Some other versions. He has no claim on me, no power over me, nor anything that he can use against me. He has no claim on me. He has nothing in common with me. There's nothing in me that belongs to him. He has no power over me. He has no power, no claim, hold, nothing over me. But don't worry, he has nothing on me, no claim on me. He has nothing in regard to me. He has no part in me. He has no power over me, for he has nothing to use against me. So why was Jesus not bothered by the fact that the prince of the world is coming against him? He has nothing in me. He doesn't have anything in me that he can pull on to get me off course. He doesn't have any part of me where I have given him allegiance, where I have given him rule, where I have given him rank, where I have given him legal access. He has nothing in me that he can pull as he tries to manipulate. Now think about us. Usually that's not the case. There is still some stuff in us that the devil can jerk around. It's not in our spirit. Our spirits are clean, but it's in our soul. Junk in our soul, baggage in our soul, stuff that we haven't been healed from, stuff that we haven't been totally released from in our soul. He has those hooks, if you want to call them, that the devil can start trying to manipulate. And what do we see happening? Once he starts pulling on those hooks, it's usually just a matter of time before we are either turned or distracted enough to let him slip some stuff in there, to let him try to control us. The devil is only effective when you still have something in your soul which comes from his kingdom. The devil is only effective when you have something still in your soul which comes from his kingdom. If it comes from his kingdom, who does it belong to? Him. Would he have legal right to pull on that thing that belongs to him? Of course. Now we have greater, or the greater one lives in us. So that's not a cause to be fearful. It's a cause to, okay, I want to get all these doors closed. I want to get all these hooks and holds and leverage spots that he has. And I want to get those shut down. I want to get those closed so that he can't pull on me, just like he couldn't pull on Jesus. Dead men aren't tempted to do anything. Dead men are never offended. Dead men have no fear of man. Dead men don't get angry. Dead men don't retaliate. Our biggest thing is that so often we aren't really dead in so many areas. In those spots, the devil owns something from which he will try to pull us off course. But Jesus was saying, the devil's coming. He's going to make an attack here. He's getting close. He's coming to attack. But I'm not really worried about it because he has nothing in me. I'm totally dead to him. He doesn't have any pull on me. And the goal then for us as Christians is to be dead. Not dead in the grave, I'm in heaven now, dead to all the junk in this world, dead to any pull that the enemy might have on us. Any hold, any hook, any connection that he might have in our souls, in our minds, in our attitudes, in our emotions, in our memories. Dead to any of that stuff. Verse 31 starts with the word but in many versions. We'll need to back up to find out why verse 31 starts with the word but. So verse 30 through 31, John 14, 30 through 31. I will not say much more to you, for the prince of this world is coming. He has no hold over me, but he comes so that the world may learn that I love the Father and do exactly what my Father has commanded me. The reason that the enemy is coming to do his little show here is so that the world may know that I love the Father and do exactly what my Father has commanded me to do. So verse 31, but so that the world may know without any doubt that I love the Father, I do exactly as the Father has commanded me and act in full agreement with him. Get up, let's go from here. So the first part of that verse, but Satan is coming, and I do as the Father has commanded me so that the world may know, be convinced that I love the Father and that I do only what the Father has instructed me to do. I act in full agreement with his orders. But the people who belong to this world must learn about me. They must know that I love the Father, that I do everything he tells me to do. I must show that to them. So what is his concern here? I am here to demonstrate to the world, to anybody that's watching, that I love the Father, and because I love the Father, I'm going to do only exactly what he tells me to do. My proof of loving the Father is obeying him. A few verses earlier in a previous lesson, we talked about our proof. The only evidence that exists, whether we love Jesus or not, is the degree to which we obey him. Same truth for him. The only evidence that the world can understand that Jesus loves the Father was for Jesus to do exactly and only what the Father commanded. But so that the world may know how thoroughly I love the Father, I'm carrying out my Father's instructions right down to the last detail. But to demonstrate to the cosmos my love for the Father, I will do just as he commands. I'm doing exactly what the Father destined for me to accomplish, so that the world will discover how much I love the Father. So we thought, and it's true, but we thought that the cross is about sin. The cross is about getting us restored, and it is. Don't hear me say that that's not at least partially about that. But something that we don't ever talk about the cross was a demonstration of Jesus's love and obedience to the Father. But in order that the world may come to know experientially that I love the Father, and even as the Father has commanded me, thus I am doing. He's not doing this as a theory. He's not doing that. Hey, here's another thing for you to think about. He is demonstrating so that they can experientially also connect with the love that Jesus has for the Father and the obedience that that love demands, requires, draws out of him to do what the Father said. Last week we talked about very strong evidence of our love for Jesus is our obedience to the lack, is our obedience or lack thereof to what he said to do. The same standard applied to Jesus. Jesus proved his love for the Father by obeying the Father, even to the point of death on a cross. Time in hell, temporary separation from the Father. He passed the test. There's no doubt he loved the Father because he obeyed the Father perfectly. And now the last part of this, verse 31. Now get up, we must go from here. Get up, let's go. It's time to leave here. It's time for us to leave this place. Now think about those. Don't those seem odd in light of what we just read? I'm going away, and you should be excited for me. You should be happy for me. You should be thrilled for me because I'm going away and going to the Father who's greater than I am. I'm going to demonstrate my love for the Father by doing exactly what he says. I don't say any of this on my own. I'm telling you only what he has determined. Now get up, let's go. It seems very like an abrupt transition to me. Why would he say that? Why would this shift to such a degree? It was, yes. 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 That was where I was going. They weren't yet in the Garden of Gethsemane where Judas was bringing the group to arrest Jesus. They weren't yet there. Jesus must be there when they arrive or this whole thing is going to get messed up. the timing is going to be off for all the other events that are going to need to occur. So in the midst of all the other things that Jesus is going on, Jesus is still on the clock, so to speak, trying to make sure that he's in the right place at the right time so that all the other things that need to happen can also be at the right time. The presence of mind to be mastering that and saying all this and doing all this and still keep the watch, for lack of a better term, on track is amazing. It's just astounding to me. By his own admission, Jesus could have called a host of angels to save him that night. Thank God he didn't do that. And because he wasn't going to do that, if he wasn't in the spot where the mob was coming to arrest him, they wouldn't have known where to go looking for him. They might have found him eventually, but he probably could have hid out for a while and messed up the timing of the whole weekend, messed up the whole thing, and it wouldn't have fulfilled perfectly the way that the Passover was laid out as a type and a shadow of what Jesus would actually be doing on the real Passover. Some of the details would get skewed. You'd have to assume, you'd have to guess, and instead he fulfilled it perfectly, down to the letter, down to the second, in terms of what was actually going on with the real Passover while he was becoming the actual Passover lamb. All right. An unexpectedly expected gift. What was expected about this gift of peace? They knew that the Messiah was going to bring peace. They believed that the Messiah was going to be peace, bring peace. What was unexpected about this gift? Correct. It was a different kind of peace. So the gift that they received was expected, but it was also unexpected at the same time. And this unexpected portion of this was going to be the basis for their reality, for their existence, for their life moving forward, giving them an opportunity to not let their hearts be troubled, to not let them be afraid, to not let them be anxious or distraught or distressed or tormented or troubled or whatever. Fill in the blank.
They clamored for a king.
Yes.
And then kings announced that king wasn't the answer. It was something else.
True. Yes. Anyway, I hope that this makes us think about this idea of peace a little differently. I hope this makes us think about the idea of gifts a little differently. I hope this causes us to reevaluate. And in my case, Jesus loved the Father more than he loves me. Why is that bothering? Why is that such a change to my thinking? How prideful have I gotten in that midst of that to insert myself in a spot where I didn't belong? What else are you getting out of this? What else are you going to have to work on and going to have to think through as we talk about the gifts that Jesus was giving, the fact that they were expected, but yet unexpected at the same time, and the way that he gave them differently than the world gives?